This is Old Electronics Fan, and this is part 2 of the Grundig YB500. I cut short the other part of the video because it was getting way too long. So we're picking up where we left off, reassembling and checking this thing out. I'm going to start by soldering. I'm going to start that way. Yeah, let's do that. It's the first time I've worked alongside a speaker with a very powerful magnet, and I gotta say it's annoying. It keeps trying to take your soldering iron, drag it away. Even though you know it's going to do that, it still wants to do it anyway. So next, when you go to do something like this, put this back together, you really need to make sure that the locking part is up to this if you can. And it's really not helpful when the I can't show you much, but it's very difficult to try to get it to go where you want it to. Yeah, that's not what I want you to do. Come on. Let's go. There. That's what I wanted to do. So once you get it in, you've got to make sure two things. When you're sliding this in, there's a point at where it feels like it's maybe in place, but if you push just a little bit harder, you'll feel it slide the rest of the way into the slot. And when you're done, this should be parallel all along there. So, let's see here. Now, theoretically, I think that is good. Alright, so let's see if I did any harm. I'm not going to use the FM right this moment, so I don't care about that just yet. So let's plug this in. Now I know how to use the on-off button. There it says locked. Let's find out. There it is. I'm going. It works. So these switches and this switch were the two that I was concerned the most about. Let's see if I have yeah. Really? Okay, so if I hit this, get the lock. Oh, that's not nice. This apart. I tried hard to get that clean, and now it's not clean. Alright, I don't want to take it all apart again. Okay, so, okay, that feels good. So let's see something. Let's, now maybe yeah, I can put that together after. So I'm going to put a couple of screws in here so it doesn't come apart on me. that. And go up here, and that should get me enough to hold everything together. Now, okay, so let's see if our batteries work. Somewhere in here I have batteries. Yes, I do. The person who sold me this unit was kind enough to put new batteries in it. Of course, I think they were happy to get rid of it because I feel like there was some kind of nervousness, and I didn't pay a lot for this, but really not a lot, but when they told me, well, we got it to work, it made me wonder. You see what I mentioned about this? I don't know if you can see. See, if I shut this off, it says locked. That stays lit all the time, and this stays lit all the time. Okay, so let's see if we do that. Okay. That's Radio 810. It's WGY in Albany, about 40 miles away from here. And let me just see something. Mode. I got it. I didn't get that before when I hit this button. Oh wow. 4, lamp 4, off 2. There's a whole menu. They give out. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Let's see, this USB. It looks like it's working. So that's. So if I do this, and it's off. Now they just call this the on-off button. They don't mention. All right, let's zoom back a little bit. In the book, they call this the lock, unlock, and on-off button. They don't say a word. It says it on the case, but I've never used something like this before, and so I'm used to just slide switches, and I think I got this to work the first time by accidentally pushing down on it. I turned it on by mistake. So I think I'm going to put my antenna back in. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to take the batteries back out. I didn't remember that I can't put my antenna in because with this together because I have to get access to the screw head. Right, fine, I don't care. So it's an interesting little unit. I could see where some people might not like it so much because you can use the buttons on here to set the frequency for the channel that you want, and then when you get close you can tune up and down like that. Okay. Let's see. So it could be a little bit awkward, I guess. that. Come on. Why are you not cooperating? Because you don't want to. Oh, okay. Let's try that. Come on. Might as well grab a real screwdriver here. There it goes. Being very uncooperative. Of course, the screw is drifting back out on me. Even though it was so difficult to get in the first place, it goes out quite easily. Come on. Oh, it's there. Okay, good. There we go. Alright. And the things I want to make sure of is that I've got these wires sort of tucked out of the way. I do not want them interfering with the volume control. I think it will work. Yes. And this isn't horrible to work on. I've worked on worse, trust me. But there are a few things you have to pay attention to. There we are, all back together. Battery's back in. Okay. Alright, so I've got my antenna. Alright, let's go to FM. Oh, really? Well now. The volume control decided to not stay in where it belongs. So, fine. Be that way. Well, maybe I'll only put one screw in next time until I know that everything's working. And I actually looked at it as I was putting it together, and I thought that it went into the slot where it was supposed to go. However, it did not. Alright, now, let's try this again. Yeah, alright, fine, go there. Okay. Now let's try it. I'm not even going to put screws in it. I'm going to make sure that it works before I do anything else. There it goes. Let's do 903 maybe.
And said that if we have a fire, they wouldn't put it out.
Brush fire starts and goes through that property. They won't enter the property because of those live panels. That means they fight it from the outside. What do you do about that?
They referred to the motto behind the podium. Their Kopek is the town of rural charm.
So,
I think that our world
I don't know if you can hear.
Not a luxury. It's something that scores of businesses monetize now for a rare bright spot in the rural economy.
So that's speech.
Agritourism. weekend rental, camping
And
at
this is
byways, hiking,
music.
biking, etc.
This is sound boost.
And then, after all that discussion, the meeting takes another negative turn for the Rathwilers.
Whereas the town
So-
board of the town of Copac
Oh, actually, I want to see.
to enact local law number 2, 2017, town of Copac solar energy law. All in favor?
Okay.
The Copac Town Board passes a new zoning law that bans any solar projects larger than
So-
10 acres.
So, the way this works is, you have a store button down here. Where are you? Where are you? Which way did you go? There. Store button. Come on. Focus. Alrighty. Are you going to be difficult? Really? Okay, well, I'm not sure why it's doing that. So there's the store button, and you got these A through Z, and I've read through it briefly, and you can store a station and then you use a number to store it, but you can also identify it with a name, if I remember right, if I read that correctly. But the part that I don't understand, in fact, let's put this back together all the way now that I've at least put 2 screws in it, now that we know, I think everything's working. Yeah, so I guess this wasn't in as bad a shape as I thought. I just overlooked a few things, which when they do things differently than you used to, I guess it's easy to do that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about this part. I don't know how they... Anyway, so there was a slide part, yeah. There was a piece that slid in here, and there are stops at the top of this to keep it sliding up too far. Because when you lean against it, you don't want this traveling too far, and there's a little detent hole right there, a button right there. And so there must have been little dots in this plastic piece that would allow you to control just how far up it went. I don't know if there's anything I can do with that. Again, I don't know how much I'm going to use that or how important it's going to be. It would be kind of nice, I think, sometimes to have, well, actually, let's do this and this. So I'm puzzled about this.
Across the country. In nearly every state, local governments have passed laws and regulations to block or restrict renewable energy. A recent study by Columbia Law School found at least 228 local laws on the books across 35 states. Hundreds of large-scale renewable energy projects are currently facing significant opposition from
So it shows you the key right there, and if you hit a button, it says star key, which I guess is trying to tell you, that you've, well, they won't even let you turn it off. So all buttons are locked by that. So this is, I guess it's kind of interesting. If you do this, everything is locked, but it's not playing, and you can't make it play. That was one of the questions I had. You can't make it play by hitting that button. When you slide it to the on or the unlock position, then you can. I guess because it's in locked position, that button is also locked. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish putting this back together. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to use shortwave on this, and I'll come back and show you that, or I'll come back and say, I'm wrapping up here. I'm back. So I did learn a few things. One is that this has stations that it has in memory, and so let's see. Well, all right, let's turn it back on. I'm in shortwave right now, but let's go to one of the remembered ones. So 0 to memory. It's supposed to be the BBC, which I don't get anything from. Now, the other way that you can get to the shortwave is by entering numbers below 100. So, and they give you a chart. They give you a chart of the different numbers you can use. So if I wanted to, I'll just go with 10. Start, and we press AM. And then if you want it to search, you hold it down for a second. And then it, oh, I'm sorry. Let me try that again with you watching. Oh, hopefully I'll, alright, let's stop that. Alright, let's try this again. So, I'm going to do 1, no I don't want to do that, I do clear, I want to do 0, 2, and I hit memory, and it uses what it has stored in memory to tune to that particular thing. And then, if I decided that I wanted to actually, can I do it? Okay. If you hit the mono button, it will move up to the next frequencies. Or you can do this, and it will start searching. The other way that you can do this, I think I mentioned already, but we'll go there again because I don't know if you saw what I was doing. Let's say I wanted to go to that one. So let's say I do 31 AM, and it jumps right to that frequency. And you can do the same thing. You can hold this for a second, and then it goes searching. And then you hit that again, and it stops searching. I'm not hearing anything, but I've just started basically playing with this. So there isn't a shortwave button per se. You have to know where to go and what you want to do. It's interesting. The person who owned this had come up with some key shortcuts that he was able to enter in, and he's got a bunch of them entered in here. Somebody actually did spend a lot of time playing with this radio at one point. Let me just see, is that going to be what I want? Let's see, 7, 5, and yeah. So I typed in 7.5 and it brought me right to there. And that was, so that was, there's a couple off. So now I can move up. It's a couple off this frequency that he was, so anyway. So it's interesting. It's different than what I expected it to be, but it works. I mean, it actually works. And now that I know how to use it, I might find there are some uses for this. So it's interesting. This has on the side here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Are you going to focus? Or are you not going to focus? Focus. There we go. So you've got line out, which should be higher output, and then you've got headphones. And you can feed this into headphones, or you can feed it into a stereo, and it'll be in stereo in both cases, I'm assuming. That's where the power goes. What is this? They told me 29. What is 29? 29. Oh. Okay. So, if you're plugging this into, come on, let's go. Here, get the background out of the way. Okay, there we go. If you're working with a tape deck, you can plug a cable in here and then the other end goes into your tape deck. See, timer recordings. Here's one thing. If you possess a cassette recorder with start-stop remote control facility, you can use the switching times of the radio to switch on and off the cassette recorder for recording radio programs. Make the output switch jack connect with the switch jack of the recorder. And then you can set up an automatic play event. Okay. And to make recordings with the cassette recorder, line out socket for the radio must be connected to the line in socket of the cassette recorder. Switch the cassette recorder to recording start. When Yacht Boy 500 is automatically switched on, the cassette recorder is also automatically started and records the program broadcasted by the selected station. So, and this is quite a little radio. So it's probably a fairly expensive unit. I basically bought it because of the fact that it is shortwave, and now I know how to get around in it. I can use it when I'm troubleshooting shortwave radios. Try to put the key thing that I want to know is the oscillator working? And having something that's portable and convenient to, well, I say convenient to be used. This thing could be a little bit more so, but it is what it is. It would be nice to have this available to help me when I'm playing with those. So I may find some other uses. I mean, it's got AM and FM, and the fact that it can pick up 810 means that it's okay. And I've got a GE radio that actually brought in 810 better than this does, which surprises me, because usually the transistorized radios do better than tubes. But the GE, that's a good quality unit, and it's got an extra RF amp at the beginning of the signal chain. And depending on how the editing goes on that video, you may or may not see it. But anyway, so I thought this was interesting. I had forgotten, but this tune up, the tune up button, that switch in there is not great. Unfortunately, I don't have any switches like that one to replace this with. So, I guess if I get desperate, the A through Z button down here, I will probably never use that, so I might trade this one to this spot. I didn't think about it at the time. Like I'd forgotten, actually. I had forgotten all about the fact that switch is not great. Well, I decided I didn't want to leave this failing switch here. So I'm going to take this switch, try it anyway, take this switch from here and move it to here. And I'm going to show you why. If I can get this to cooperate. Let's see. Now, really, Okay. Now I'm pushing on this enough so that it's supposed to be making contact. And now it's, when I was just measuring it, I was seeing as high as 30 ohms there. And now it's not. Okay. So that time, okay, this switch is flaky. So it clicks, I pushed on it, it clicked, it should be doing more. And if I really push on it, it's not doing anything. So, make sure I'm getting a good connection here. Now, when I push, I hear it respond. So, that switch is a little bit, I mean, when I'm using this, and you get this little point, wherever that's been riding on that button, the switch is worn in such a way that there are times when you push on that button fairly firmly and this doesn't do anything. Now let's compare that with this switch that I want to use. And come on, there. Let's go. And I'm just putting just enough pressure to make the button click. And it does so, and it responds consistently. This other switch does not do that. So I'm double checking because that's kind of the way I like to operate, because number one, I'll make sure I'm grabbing the right. I want to make sure I'm grabbing the right switch, because it's so easy. You miscount, you are preoccupied or whatever, and you choose the wrong switch to remove, and then you're unhappy. Let's put it that way. Alright, so I don't like being unhappy. Okay. So I have to move these this way before. Let's see how well it works this time. Let's go that way, get you out of the way. Alright. I'm going to try to use my solder wick. I do have a vacuum solder pump, and it works. But, oh yeah, that looks good. Alright. I know there's other good solder wick out there, but this is Chemtronics solder wick. It seems to work pretty good. Been using that for a while, and I'm pretty pleased with it. I said there might be better stuff out there. And if you happen to know of something that works really, really well, I wouldn't be opposed to learning about it. Now I know that's going to be fun. If you have the tools you use with surface mount stuff, that's an option. But I haven't, number one, I haven't had a lot of experience with that, and number two, I worry about damaging components that I'm trying to save, or components that are nearby. So, okay. You can't see what I'm doing, can you? I don't know if I can move this in. Oh, maybe. Not too bad. I don't think there's any way I can get in any better. Let's see more. Now, one of the things I do is once I've flowed solder into the wick, I tend to clip it off right away and make sure I have clean wick. So I don't want anything interfering with getting all the solder out. And I don't know if you can see it. Okay. Now, the question is, did I get enough of that out to make that come loose? Alright. Doesn't look like it. Well, let's see. So then the next trick is you try to get a small screwdriver under there. A little pressure. Oh, I'm on the wrong one, of course. Those are the kinds of mistakes you can make. Okay. That one popped up. So those, looks like those two have come up. And see what happens here. Next. Now, I don't want to force it. Doesn't look like that, so I get completely free. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing over there. Yeah, so let me show you how these are set up. This is what makes them kind of interesting to deal with. The fingers come down and wrap in, which makes it more interesting when you're trying to remove these. And the solder wick does a pretty good job of wicking the solder out, but sometimes, as you see, it left a little bit behind. Now, so the next thing I want to know or do is get this one out. Let's go. And it's going to be this one right here. And if I had been thinking, I would have put a little mark on it or whatever, just to make sure I don't become absent-minded and try to unsolder the wrong one. You wouldn't think that would be an issue and that you would have to do that. The problem is, I'm not just doing this, I'm also thinking about the camera, which is sitting here over my shoulder. And far too often I do things like forgetting to readjust the camera after I've zoomed in or zoomed out. Alright, so let's see, are we going to reach in there? Hopefully we are. Okay. That looks pretty good. bit. And, oh, this is going to be fun. I've got this in the way, so I'm going to have to come at it this way. Go. One of the things you have to be careful of is when you're working around other things. If I tilted my gun down too far, trying to get into where I want to go with it, I could rest the side of my iron, the fatter part of my iron, on top of one of these buttons, and that would not be good. Alright, let's try that and see where we're at here. Okay. So that's free. Okay, well, there we go. Now, I'm putting this switch over here out of the way. Let's put this over here out of the way, and now this one. Now what I want to do is, I want to clean it up a little bit. Now I'm going to try. I don't do this very often, and I don't do this a lot, so it's not like I haven't done it before, but I always think about how I want to do this. And given how this is designed, I want to put enough solder on there so that I can just put the switch in place. Now that could be problematic because I want to go and make it sit flat, but I'm going to try it on this one first. Well, I probably should have tried the other one first. Now, let's see. Actually, I'm not sure I like that. I think I want to try this. Well, yeah, I'm not sure I want to do that. I think I want to try this differently. We'll find out in a minute. In fact, what I think I want to do actually is, oops, hold on. Because one of the things that you've got to be aware of is, it may not seem like much, but that's my good one. That's going to go here. Pretty sure. This is where marking may want to come in. All right. Now, as I was saying, I don't know just how precisely these have to be positioned height-wise. I'm pretty sure you don't want to go too high, though. because if you do that, then the button may be too close to the push pin might be too close to the button on here, and if nothing else, it won't behave the same as the other switches you're used to using, and that can be annoying. Now what I might do, okay, so what I want to try to do is yeah, that's going to be fun. What I might actually want to do, here's what I think I'm going to try. I'm going to try it with the other one that's, I know isn't good. I'm going to go over here to this one, because we're going to experiment with this one a little bit. Experimentation time. Alright, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put a dab of solder right here on just one button. And the reason I decided to do that is because it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to heat one pad and get that button positioned where you want it than it is to heat all of them, 3 of them or 2 of them. Now, let's see. That worked, I think. Yes. I think that's how I'm going to do it. Yeah. Trying to get it square. Come on. Nope. Had it better the first time. I'm sure they have ways of doing this that make it easy to do. I want to take a look at. Yeah, it's not quite where I want it. I want to line up. Oh, darn. I'm not sure how much you saw there. I'm trying to line this up so that the back pins are centered along with the front pins. And I can't see what I'm doing with my finger there. That's better. Having pliers, I guess, is also the right way to go. So now, there we are. Well, seems hot. Okay. There. Okay. Okay. Let me bring this up so I can hold it where I can see it. Here. That looks good to me. I think that looks good. Now, so I think that is the trick. Okay, I wanted to double check and make sure that I wasn't making a mistake. So I've done that too many times. So I double check this. So I double check this switch, and it is a good one. In the future, just because when I'm doing video and I'm talking, it's easy for me to forget what I just did because I'm focused on other things. So if I put a mark on something telling me that that's the item that I want to replace, or that's the item that's bad that's getting swapped or whatever, I think that would make a lot of sense. That way I don't have to think, oh, is this the right one? Am I putting the right one on there? Am I making a mistake? And, okay. And the other thing is you got to make sure that you're getting the 3-pin part on the right side of the switch as opposed to the 2-pin. And you would think that'd be simple too, but if you're not paying attention, you can wind up soldering. Well, I think we've all done this. You're putting a new end on a cable, and you solder the wires to the connector on the end of the cable, or say you're replacing a 1/4-inch jack. And you strip the wire, solder it onto the connectors for the 1/4-inch jack, and you realize the cover that's supposed to screw on it is sitting on your bench and has not been slid over the wire. I hate to say how many times I've done that one. So, yeah, so, and that's doing something when I'm not even distracted by anything else, so. Oh, there we go, maybe. So I'm trying to make sure that this is square, and it's not quite. Also trying to make sure that it's centered on the pads. Whoops. Alright, so this is the one I'm working on. Trying to make sure it's square, and it's almost there, and I'm trying to make sure it's centered on the pad. And I think it is, but wait. The camera makes it look like that's awfully dusty. Huh. Interesting. I didn't see that before. There's things you see when you zoom in. Huh. Alright. Well, anyway. Probably being anal and a bit too fussy, but you'll have to blast it off my canned air when I'm done. Now, let's see, here's the one I'm working at right here. That is extremely close to being centered on the pads. So now that I've got that positioned where I want it, more or less, felt good. And just put some downward pressure on it. Okay. So what I just did there was I want to make sure that this is absolutely flat against the board. So, this thing does not like to, come on, be nice. Alright, so now I'm going to go, I've got this pad here soldered. I'm going to go on this side and finish up these three, and then I'll come back to the other side. Doesn't have to be done that way, but that's how I'm going to do it. Come on. All right. What to do now is just clean up where I soldered, and then should be able to put this together and test it. Now, one of the things that's interesting about playing with switches and things like this, such as this, is that occasionally, I'm not counting on this, but occasionally, once you've heated something, and maybe the other part of that would be, no, the other part of that might be that you've repositioned the switch so that the point of pressure being applied by the button is in a different spot, and that could make a switch that wasn't happy before much happier. We'll find out, so I will test that when I put this back together. I'll just take a quick look, make sure nothing's shorted together. Looks good. Looks good. Alright. I think got it. I don't really like doing this fiddly kind of stuff. I know people work with surface mount chips and just that tiny stuff. And I've had to work with it on occasion, but yeah, that looks pretty good. As I'm looking at this, that lines up very well. I mean, this corner, this switch is maybe just a teeniest tiny bit out of square compared to the others, but I don't think you're going to spot that. I don't see it in the camera, but anyway, actually maybe a little bit. So the thing is, it's not absolutely critical, and I'm being way too fussy. It's not absolutely critical that this is absolutely square. What is critical is that this is positioned such that when you put pressure on the button, it's contacting the center of that button. And I think it's very close. So I'm comparing it to this. So I think these, yeah. So if I compare, if I compare this is when I replace these with that, there is just a slight difference in the height of that. But again, I think it's close enough that I don't think that's going to cause me any grief. I surely hope not. I was going to, there you are. this is why this is on Walmart brand. I've stopped buying these because of that. It is so frustrating to have your canned air spit the nozzle, the plastic pipe out when you're working with it. I noticed that when I put this together last time, there was dust under here, and I was able to get most of it out by blasting air in through that opening there. But I'm trying to make sure that I don't have to do that again, because that's less than satisfactory. Now, okay. Well, I found out something. These buttons, you can put them on the switches first, and that way you don't have to worry about whether they're actually making contact or properly centered on the switch, such that those switches are actually going to work. And I think this stuff's still on here on the inside. Let's check this out. I'm cleaning my screen off. I am cleaning my screen off. I am really being anal tonight. More so than I usually am. But it did bug me when I put this together last time to have it, to have a lot of garbage there on the screen. It's just, I don't know, I just don't like it. Of course, maybe as I use this, it's probably likely to be the case, as I use this, the dust will migrate back in. It's not like this thing is sealed up tightly, but at least I'd like to start out clean. Alright. Yeah, I wish I could test things more there. Well, it feels the same as everything else. Alright. So, this is the second time around. Hopefully this is it. Because I don't recall anything else that was a problem. When I was checking out at first. And the mode switch was one thing that didn't seem to be working. Still not sure why that started working, unless, and it's one of the things that is possible. When I was checking the switches, I was using a screwdriver because my fingers couldn't push the switch button in because it's below the level of the top of the switch housing. So I was using that screwdriver to press the switch in, the switch buttons in, and it's possible that by exercising that switch and maybe pressing it in a little bit further, although I'd be surprised if that were the case, or pushing it in at a different spot on the switch, if that dislodged something in the switch and made it start working. I don't know. What I do know is that the switch started working. And it also, it seems that the LEDs in this that provide the light for the display has stopped being LEDs. Oh. Oh, I see. Okay. I think it's okay. There's no chance I'm going to be using that, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Yes, that's good. Alright. But I just like to put things together correctly, and so let's see here. Alright, so did I turn that off? I did. I figured I got the switches in, I'm all done. Nope. Another pair of wires need solder. Alright. I think I'm going to try this before it does that. It might be easier, I don't know. Come on. I don't like that. Yeah. Those are the things that you can get in trouble with. There was a small whisker of solder that was coming off of this and touching that. And okay. Some solder dropped on it. I think I need a plastic tool. Got some solder floating loose in here, and I don't want it to stay there. There we go. Of course. Well, it worked out. Well, what's the deal there? I didn't think there was that much solder on the loose in there, but there was. And it's probably my fault. Alright, so let's try this again. Let's see. Now, put that together again. There we go. After having put this in a couple of times, it became obvious. Oh, and that didn't go in straight. That's precisely what I didn't want you to do. Come on. Let's go. There. That's what we want. That should make it square. these are a pain in the neck, and you have to be careful about them. You don't want to flex them too much, because once you do, or if you do that, then bad things happen. Okay, I think so. I got these in place, and they're in the right place, which is good. Move the switch out a little bit. And the other thing I've learned is that when you put this back together, you got the switch that's going there, I move it away from, well, let's see, I move it away from there a little bit, and I slide it together. Yeah, it looks like it's going to line up. And I also put the speaker side down, because these parts are loose and can fall off. If you try to go the other way, there we go, that seems to line up pretty good. Okay. Okay. Well, as far as I can tell, everything's together correctly. I try to avoid pinching wires. Wires I was really concerned about were the speaker wires. Well, hopefully, when I get all done, this will work and work better. One can only hope. Alright. Get a couple more screws to put in, but I think, well, this will go. I guess I'm going to be brave and decide that this is going to work. This is going to work properly when I get all done. That one there. Let's see. There's a joke. I heard this in reference to working on cars, but I'm sure that's not the only place where it comes into play. And the joke is, we do it right because we do it twice. Well, I don't want to do it twice. That works beautiful. Yes, yes, yes. Now both of those buttons are working exactly the same. So, that switch works, but it works about as badly as it did before. So, I'd like to say that was fun. It's a pain in the neck is what it was. But, I'm done. I'm all done with this. And you may see this in the future if I wind up playing with a solid state radio, or solid state shortwave radio, that you may see this again if I come up against a shortwave radio and I'm not sure that the oscillator is actually working. And there's other tricks that you can use. And I may show you those, at least one other trick that I've learned recently. And we'll see. What's what. So that makes me happy. I feel like taking the extra time and extra effort to fix this and being super careful as I was putting those, I was swapping those parts around, and some might say being anal, I guess, but I think it paid off in that you can't tell the difference between these two switches now. And yeah, I know you've got that little tiny point and you've got that big button, and you probably would have to have it quite a distance out of position for this to not work properly. But I'd rather take the extra time to make sure that I got it right. Now I can turn my soldering iron off, and it came out absolutely perfectly. And I think my first inclination to not have 4 solder blobs on the circuit board first before I put the switch in place, I think that too was the right decision, because I could see myself trying to work my way around the switch, try to get it as flat on the circuit board as possible, and by having only one solder dot that you had to work with, you could put pressure on the switch while you heat it, and that one corner will drop down flat, and I think that works. And then it also makes it easier to position the switch the way you want it, where you want it, and interesting. I think there's wear patterns on this. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it was the cleaner I used that left stuff. Anyway, so yeah, well, my first thought was I wasn't going to show repairing that switch since I had it all back together, and I was going to have to take it all back apart again. But there were things that I learned, like for instance, these, if you put them on the switches first, actually, I don't think I have to worry about that, but we're going to just double check that. But leaving these on the switch on the handle of the switches first. Okay, so I'll get you on. That works. Okay, it's good. All right. Well, this is going to wrap it up at this point. I think this is working the way I want it to. Wasn't so sure when I first got it and the issues that it seemed to have, but it sounds pretty good actually. I don't remember how much I played it, but it's surprising for that little bitty speaker. It puts out a pretty decent sound. I haven't used headphones on it yet, but I suspect it'll be good. So again, this is the wrap up here. I hope it was enjoyable. If you like it, let me know. Comments are welcome, of course, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Thanks.